Aquarius. They can embrace the universe, but they cannot tolerate the person trying to hold their hand.
The rebel with a dictator's heart. We are constantly flooded with sugary astrological fairy tales praising Aquarius as the ultimate, starry-eyed beacon of freedom, humanitarianism, and universal equality. On the surface, they are celebrated as the progressive savior, the free-spirited rebel of the Zodiac who walks to the beat of their own drum. But let's be honest, that is merely the highly polished, curated surface of a much darker, much colder ocean. The truth that no one wants to talk about is that Aquarius harbors some of the most extreme, borderline, terrifying psychological paradoxes in the entire zodiac. They are the passionate crusaders fighting on the front lines for the collective freedom of humanity, yet behind closed doors. They are the very ones who will readily enforce an invisible martial law within their personal relationships. They want to liberate the world, but they want to govern your soul. Today on Jin Jin's Cosmic, we are throwing away the handbook of toxic positivity. We are not here to stroke the ego of Aquarius with empty, generic compliments or coddle their eccentricities. Instead, we are going to shine a cold surgical light into their blind spots. We are going to dismantle their sharpest, most guarded edges and expose the hidden psychological anomalies that even Aquarius themselves are too afraid to confront in the mirror. Prepare yourself, because once you see the architecture of this mind, you can never unsee it. The Closet Dictator, open mind, iron core. Pop astrology has conditioned people to mistake Aquarius for a typical breezy air sign, assuming they are fluid, easily adaptable, and perpetually open to whatever the wind blows in. But reality paints a starkly dangerous, different picture. You must never forget that Aquarius is a fixed sign. They are not the gentle breeze, they are the immovable sky. This specific cosmic alignment breeds a staggering, brilliant hypocrisy. Aquarius possesses the most progressive, boundary-pushing mind toward the outer world, but remains the most stubbornly dogmatic, conservative entity toward their inner self. They are a radical revolutionary, wrapped around a core of pure, unyielding iron. An Aquarius will gladly sit in a room and listen to a stranger pitch the most bizarre, taboo, or radical concepts without a single flicker of judgment. They pride themselves on this intellectual tolerance. But here is the catch. Do not dare attempt to alter a single tiny rule in their own personal code. Aquarius doesn't just have opinions. They operate on a highly rigid, unwritten, internal legal system where they act as the supreme judge, jury, and executioner. The terrifying part of interacting with this energy is that you will never receive a warning before the gavel falls. The exact moment you unknowingly violate one of their unspoken articles, the trial is already over. You are instantly convicted in the silence of their minds. They won't scream at you with the fiery rage of a Leo, nor will they play the complex, agonizing, psychological mind games of a Scorpio. Aquarius is far more clinical than that. They will simply slap a cold, permanent mental label on you that reads under-evolved or intellectually incompatible, and then they will quietly, systematically filter your entire existence out of their reality. You don't get an explanation. You don't get an appeal. This is the ultimate tragedy of the water bearer. They love humanity in the abstract. They will weep for the future of civilization and fight for the masses. but they are unforgivingly harsh, detached, and clinical toward the actual flawed human beings standing right in front of them. They can embrace the universe, but they cannot tolerate the person trying to hold their hand. The mastery of ghosting, manipulation, through absence. If you have ever crossed paths with the darker side of astrology, you already know how other signs manipulate. A Scorpio might manipulate you through intense emotional leverage, guilt, or targeted, suffocating mystery. A Cancer might use tears, and a Leo might use dramatic, fiery ultimatums. But Aquarius is far more dangerous. They manipulate through sheer emotional vacancy. They don't need to weaponize their words because they have mastered the art of weaponizing their absence. They are the undisputed, ice-cold masters of completely draining the life force out of a partner without ever breaking a sweat, slamming a door, or raising their voice by a single decibel. The ultimate nuclear weapon in the Aquarius arsenal is not anger. It is total, unadulterated indifference. When an emotional conflict ignites in a relationship, a normal human reaction is to fight, defend, or cry. But when the heat turns up, Aquarius goes completely offline. They do not offer long, exhausting explanations, and they certainly do not offer comfort. Instead, they choose to completely ghost you while standing in the exact same room, looking right at you with eyes that have suddenly gone completely blank. You must understand that this ice-cold silence is not a healthy period of reflection. It is not them taking a breather to calm down. It is a calculated, non-verbal transmission that states, your current emotional state is illogical. Your tears are a system error. And right now you no longer possess enough value to occupy space in my processor. This is a form of psychological starvation. By withholding their presence, their attention, and their energy, they create an emotional vacuum. The partner is left screaming into a void, trapped in a terrifying spiral of self-doubt, desperate overthinking, and frantic panic. You find yourself begging for an argument, begging for them to at least be angry at you, just to prove that they still care. But the more you spiral, the more detached the Aquarius becomes, viewing your panic as further proof that you are too unstable for their world. The most chilling aspect of this paradox is the absolute finality of their delete button. A typical human being carries the weight of shared history, memories, and nostalgia. But an Aquarius can sever a 5-year emotional bond in a single, cold blink. They can walk away from a life built together without a solitary tear staining their cheek, without a flicker of regret crossing their face, and without ever looking back. To them, once a connection is deemed obsolete, it is simply deleted from the hard drive, leaving you to wonder if you ever actually existed to them at all. The timeline addiction. Reciprocal liberty is a myth. We are taught that Aquarius is the champion of equal rights and mutual respect. They scream from the rooftops about the importance of independence, fiercely guarding their own time, their erratic schedules, and their absolute personal autonomy. They loathe the very idea of being managed, questioned, or checked up on. If you ask an Aquarius where they are going or when they will be back, they view it as a direct violation of their human rights. However, beneath this grand philosophy of live and let live lies a deeply selfish, hidden habit. While they demand total freedom from you, they implicitly expect your entire world to seamlessly, quietly revolve around their unpredictable timeline. Mutual liberty in the world of Aquarius is often a beautiful myth. An Aquarius can completely vanish from the face of the earth for 3 days straight without a single text, a word of warning, or a trace of explanation. If you dare to question this disappearance, you are met with a cold wall of intellectual superiority. You are told that you are being smothering, and that you must respect their sacred, non-negotiable need for space. But here is where the addiction to control manifests. The exact moment they spontaneously materialize back into reality, perhaps at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, wanting to dissect a random, hyperfixated, intellectual concept or a new conspiracy theory, the rules instantly change. They expect you to be fully awake, mentally fully charged, and perfectly ready to match their intense, sudden frequency. They do not ask if you are tired. They do not care that you have work in 4 hours. They want you there, fully present, exactly when they require your mind to validate their genius. And the second they crave isolation again, they expect you to instantly evaporate into thin air, leaving them to their quiet vacuum. This is a very sophisticated, subtle form of dominance. Aquarius will never control you by tracking your physical location, reading your text messages, or demanding to know who you are with. They find that petty and beneath them. Instead, they control you by silently forcing your entire life, your sleep schedule, and your emotional availability to bend to their erratic, eccentric rhythm. You become a satellite orbiting their planet, forever waiting for their signal, while they remain completely untouchable. They masterfully train you to be available at their convenience, while remaining entirely unavailable at yours. Cold-blooded compassion. This is perhaps the most unsettling paradox of the water-bearer. An Aquarius can genuinely weep while watching a documentary about systemic poverty in a distant country, or spend consecutive sleepless nights organizing a global digital campaign for wildlife conservation. Yet the very next afternoon, they can stand completely unmoved and stone-faced before the tears of their own partner crying in front of them. The Aquarius mind is hardwired to operate strictly on a macro level. They feel deep, profound sorrow for systemic, historical, or global tragedies. However, localized human emotions, the messy, needy, everyday demands of intimacy are viewed by them as an illogical nuisance. They would literally rather save the world than sit down and comfort a broken heart. This massive structural detachment leaves those who love an Aquarius feeling like they are perpetually ranked second to the rest of human civilization.
The verdict of the lonely genius. Ultimately, Aquarius individuals are not angels sent from the future to save us. They are complex human beings forced to carry the weight of a hyperactive, hyper-isolated brain. These ruthless paradoxes, the hidden dogmatism, the surgical indifference, and their cold-blooded compassion are simply the heavy taxes they pay for being born a century too early. They are lonely not because the world doesn't love them, but because they continually build a labyrinth of ice around themselves, daring the world to try and melt it. If you choose to walk beside an Aquarius, you must learn to love the beautiful terror of their civilized cruelty. And if you are an Aquarius listening to this right now, look at the walls around you and ask yourself, are you truly protecting your sacred freedom, or have you simply built a magnificent prison out of your own coldness?